Making peace with fear to ignite change in you. Welcome to Be Fab, Be You Made Simple, your daily dose of inspiration designed to help you reinvent yourself by optimizing your body and mind. I am Maria Horstman, a health editor and coach, a fitness trainer, a speaker, and an entrepreneur, founder of BeFabBeYou.com. Our episodes are short and will bring you valuable content and practical nuggets for optimal health and fitness that you can implement ASAP. Let's get you to feel fabulous every day. Are you ready? Check out the show notes to 1, schedule a free call with me to discuss a plan to take your health to the next level. 2, submit a question to be featured in our Ask Me Anything episodes on Sundays. Connect with me on social media and much more. Hit the subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, share with your friends and leave it a rating. Making peace with fear to ignite changing you. Wow. Welcome back to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. I'm excited to be here, and I hope you are as well. So a listener to the show sent me a thoughtful and kind suggestion after he listened to last episode, number 28. If you haven't listened to that, might be a good idea to do so now, because today will make more sense to you. So I've decided to take a detour to my original plan for today's episode, and I can do that, so I'll just do it. I love it. So that said, I will share his suggestion with you because I think it's relevant and helpful. So the listener suggested that if I worried about falling alone, I can get an Apple Watch. And I can set up automatic fall detection that will call 911, share my location, and notify my emergency contacts if it detects a hard fall. That is pretty cool. If you're a fan of Apple products, this could be a great product to own. I'm not a fan. I don't own one. I don't plan to own one, so I'll keep rolling. But I appreciate him to share this, so I thought I would share that back with you. So when I read the listeners' comments, immediately I thought to myself, did I come across that I live in fear of aging alone, feeling lonely, sad, and that physical weakness or even immobility is part of my mind all the time? So let's talk about this, because I want you to age confident about the direction you're leading your life. I want you to do your best to age with physical and cognitive health. Feel good and stay active until it is time for you to depart this life. I want that for myself, and I bet that you want some of that too, don't you? Fear is part of life and necessary for survival. Establishing a goal to eliminate fear, worry, and anxiety is just not realistic. What I find realistic is to establish habits that will allow us to build resilience and then be able to react to life curveballs with a better outlook and control. And if you're like me, control is key. So part of this is actually being the CHO, the Chief Health Officer of our lives, that I love to talk about. Look, by nature, I'm a problem solver, and that's what I used to do during my corporate job, or corporate years. It is a big part of what I do now as a health coach and personal trainer. I love being able to take in information, break down the situations into smaller pieces, reflect the pros and cons, take a deep dive into the root cause of the problem, and help my peeps to identify the problem themselves. I'm just a guide in that case. Establish a plan of action together and execute together. And when I'm part of that execution and progress is made, man, I get a great sense of satisfaction. Nothing replaces that kind of feeling. As a problem solver, and if you're one of those too, we're more of a doers versus a talker, right? I love being part of the solution, like I said. So sitting on a situation, especially if it brings me fear, worry, anxiety, uncertainty, and doubt, is not something I do well. I just don't handle well. I get more anxious by the minute. And when that continues, if I do nothing, I freeze and I paralyze. And when that happens, I make very poor decisions or no decisions at all. And that gets me very frustrated. So the action is the antidote of fear. And we spoke about action before too. And I will continue to put that thought in your mind. When you feel about paralyzing, that's when you got to think, what can I do now? Yes, we got to stop, take a deep breath, and move on. Look, this thing of action and fear, it couldn't be more, couldn't be truer to and more applicable to me. And I bet you feel similar. And if you're not sure about that, I want you to think about every time you overcame obstacles in your life. Pick one or two. It wasn't by watching time go by. Instead, you made decisions, you took action, and you moved on. Movement is energy, folks, and you know it. So, if you listen carefully to what I had mentioned in the previous episode that caused this gentleman to send me a few comments, you might have noticed that I went into action after I freaked out. I went into self-evaluation mode, search mode, applying mode, learning mode, all sorts of modes. The end result was I changed my life, my health, and eventually my career 180 degrees. I'm not suggesting you to change your career, but hey, this is what happened to me, and I'm pretty happy where I'm at now. Well, there's ups and downs, like we just spoke before about it. But hey, next episode, I will return to discussing the seed I planted and share more about my battle with sugar addiction and how my training in insulin resistance and nutrition endocrinology changed my life forever. And has the ability to change the life of millions, including yours. Okay, well, there is one more thing that I would like to share. I know, giver. It's a piece from one of my favorite books, Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. If you haven't read it, please listen to it. Get into the Audible because you feel her energy through her words. And this part that I'm going to share with you is part of a bigger chapter, which Liz Gilbert shares how she handles fear. I cannot tell you how much I love this and how much this piece has impacted me as well. So here it goes. In her words, fear and creativity share a womb. They were born at the same time and they still share some vital organs. This is why we have to be careful of how we handle our fear, because I've noticed that when people try to kill off their fear, they often end up murdering their creativity in the process. So I don't try to kill off my fear. I don't go to war against it. Instead, I make all that space for it. Heaps of space every single day. I'm making space for fear right now, this moment. I allow my fear to give and breathe and stretch out its legs comfortably. It seems to me that the less I fight my fear, the less it fights back. If I can relax, my fear relaxes too. In fact, I cordially invite my fear to come along with me everywhere I go. I even have a welcoming speech prepared for fear, which I deliver right before embarking on a new project or big adventure. It goes something like this. Dearest Fear, creativity and I are about to go on a road trip together. I understand you will be joining us because you always do. I acknowledge that you believe you have an important job to do in my life and that you take your job seriously. So apparently, your job is to induce complete panic whenever I'm about to do anything interesting. And I may say you are superb at your job. So by all means, keep doing your job if you feel you must. But I will also be doing my job on this road trip, which is to work hard to stay focused, and creativity will be doing its job, which is to remain stimulating and inspiring. There is plenty of room in this vehicle for all of us, so make yourself at home. But understand that creativity and I are the only ones who will be making any decisions along the way. I recognize and respect that you are part of this family, so I will never exclude you from our activities. But still, your suggestions will never be followed. You are allowed to have a seat. You are allowed to have a voice, but you're not allowed to have a vote. You're not allowed to touch the roadmaps. You're not allowed to suggest the tours. You're not allowed to fiddle with the temperature. Dude, you are not even allowed to touch the radio. But above all else, my dearest old familiar friend, you're absolutely forbidden to drive. Then we head off together, me and creativity and fear, side by side forever, advancing once more into the terrifying but marvelous terrain of unknown outcome. I hope you enjoy that as much as I do. So my questions to you are you fearful of what? What brings you anxiety and worry? What are your triggers? What triggers these fears and anxieties and worries? I want you now to grab that wellness journey and write. Give yourself permission to feel and don't hide your emotions. That is your starting point. Remember that whenever you are ready to take your health to the next level, I'm here for you. Book a call and let's talk about your goals, concerns, fears, and ways we will get you in a better direction. So thanks for listening, and I talk to you soon. Thanks for listening to the Be Fab, Be You Made Simple podcast. Can you do me a favor? If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend and leave it a rating. It helps the podcast, and I really appreciate it. If you're wondering where to start, head over to my website, linked in the show notes, to sign up to receive encouragement, tips, and strategies to maximize results. While you're there, download a free health guide to get you started today. If you're looking for a coach and trainer to help you optimize your weight, body, and health, get on my calendar. Let's discuss your goals, establish a custom plan, implement it, and celebrate your results. Together, we can do this. Find the link to schedule a free energy audit strategy session also in the show notes. Connect with me on social media. I would love for you to let me know that you're listening to the show. Also, see the show notes for the links. In addition to a qualified healthcare practitioner, it's important that you have someone in your corner who is in for you and will help you to plan and stay on track implementing your goals. Are you ready? Let's rock and roll this boat. I will see you on the next episode of Be Fab, Be You Made Simple. Just a reminder that this podcast is for educational purposes only. This podcast is not a substitute for health care by a doctor or other qualified medical professionals. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it does not constitute medical or other professional advice or services.